Welcome, everyone. Today is going to be an exciting show. We have Wayne Schoenberg, who is a 40-year veteran of law. He's a trial lawyer, and along with that, he's became a speaker. He's a member of NSA, been the national chapter president here in St. Louis, and then also he is a certified coach. So welcome, Wayne.
Welcome. Thanks for having me, Kathy.
So Wayne, why don't you tell the audience a little bit of how you got started into the speaking industry and starting a coaching business?
Well, it's kind of a multi-layer question. Of course, I've been in the speaking industry since 1965. I was a disc jockey at a commercial radio station, and actually had the #1 show at a commercial radio station all during college. I then went on to the Army and became commanding officer of an Army Security Agency detachment, which is military intelligence, same as a national security agency, except the Army's version. And as in that job, I had to give daily briefings 5 days a week to a group of people on certain matters that I can't tell you about or I'd have to kill you. And then went on to become a trial lawyer. So I've been a public speaker for more years than I can count. I got into what you would call the speaking business with the National Speakers Association probably about 4 or 5 years ago. I joined Toastmasters. I had gotten tired of just giving legal speeches to legal audiences and anybody who, every time the Rotary wanted somebody to speak or the Kiwanis or what have you, they wanted me to talk about legal issues. And I got bored. So I joined Toastmasters, where I could have an audience and speak about anything I wanted. And a fellow by the name of Manley Feinberg was in the same Toastmasters group. And he came up to me one day. He was president of the local chapter. He said, "We've got a speaker coming in today. She's a great nationally known speaker. I think you'd really enjoy it. Why don't you come to our chapter meeting?" I thought, well, what a nice invitation. So I went over to the chapter meeting, and my first surprise was that it cost me $47. But, okay. And I went to this chapter meeting, and I was hooked immediately. I looked around, and I saw these people, and it was such an inviting and fun group of people. I thought, this is something I've got to do. So I joined the National Speakers Association. Now, I had been a coach before that. I can't even tell you when I started becoming a coach. It probably would have been about 2011. I was at a wedding in New York City, and the bride, actually, who I'd known for years, came up and asked me if I had ever thought about being a coach. And I said, why? And she said, well, you've got such a wide life experience and the accumulated knowledge of your practice and being an attorney. You know, I've represented anybody from paupers to Fortune 500 companies. And she said, you would just be an excellent coach. You got to give it some thought. So I went to IPEC, it's called, an Institute for Professional Excellence in Coaching, became a certified professional coach. So I was a coach before I was a speaker. And that's kind of it. I just got into the business and I'm hooked. I love it. I still practice law, but I also speak professionally and coach professionally.
Well, you have a colorful background. I know you and I have had talked briefly, well, not briefly, but many times. And so I think if anybody wants to know more about you, I think they need to really delve in and hear some of your background. But will you tell the audience, what you bring to an audience when you're, as a speaker? Because I know you talk about a certain topic.
Multifaceted. What I bring to the participants in the audience is what I call the courage to be confident and the confidence to be courageous. Kathy, the thing that gets in most of our ways to progress and to success is ourselves. And every day when you look in the mirror, you're looking at your biggest competitor. You're a very skilled professional at what you do. But I know that you, because it happens to all of us, have those moments where you doubt whether you're going in the right direction, whether you doubt whether you're doing the right thing. And so what I do is create a culture of confidence for the participants in my audience. And it goes from the individual level to the organizational level. How miserable it must be to work in an organization where you are constantly in doubt about your stability, about your job, about your coworkers, about the mission of the organization. I like to talk about a SEAL team as a perfect example. Everybody in that SEAL team has a shared confidence. They have confidence in themselves because they've been taught properly and trained properly. They have confidence in their team members because they know that those team members are on that team because they have the skills, they've demonstrated the skills to be necessary to be on that team. They have confidence in their leadership because that leadership has gotten in that position by merit. They have confidence then in their whole unit. They have confidence in their mission. And that's what it takes to have a good organization and a highly functioning organization. So what I do is I bring the tools to recognize when you're having problems with confidence. There are common things that keep us from being confident, and we all have them. One is that little voice in your head. I call that a gremlin. That little voice that says, should I really be doing this? Are you doing the right thing? Is that really for you? There's interpretations, how we interpret people's actions and things and events that happen around us. And so what scientifically, in the psychological, for those people that have psychology degrees, they call it cognitive restructuring or cognitive reframing. I show people how you can take those negative thoughts that you have, that we all have, that we all deal with on a daily basis, how you can take those negative thoughts that you're having and turn them into positive thoughts. One of the key phrases that I use is having an opportunity outlook. Are the events in your life have tos, or are the events in your life get tos? And it's all about how you frame your opportunity. Do I have to be on this interview today, or do I get to be on this interview today? And so you can look at that. There are people who say, well, I have to do this report at work. Well, do you have to? Do you get to? Think all the people without a job who'd love the opportunity to be doing a report. So what I bring to an audience, now, that's what I bring to an audience. In talking to meeting professionals, what I bring is a degree of professionalism. When I talk to meeting professionals, one of the things that they tell me when I get behind the curtain, so to speak, sometimes they're not as interested in what a speaker has to say. They're interested in whether or not a speaker is going to show up on time, whether a speaker is going to embarrass them, whether a speaker is going to be punctual, and whether a speaker is going to say something that is objectionable. So for meeting professionals, that's what for 40 years, well, I was in radio, so I have to show up on time. I was a military commander. I have to speak the truth and be accurate. I've been a trial lawyer, and so, again, showing up on time is one of those things that is not optional. As a matter of fact, I'm one of those people. My wife is crazy about this aspect of my life. I'm one of those people who 15 minutes early is on time.
Oh, I can agree with you so much on that. I mean, for so long, I would be sitting out in my car because I was way too early, before anything was getting ready to be started. But it's gotten a little bit better, but I agree with you. The 15 minutes is great. But when we get back to talking about this culture of confidence, and you had mentioned there's some tools around that. Could you share some of those tools with us?
Well, some of the tools that just to give you a short version of this, some of the tools I call the Pamper principles. And I call them the Pamper principles because that's how I remember them, and the first letter of each word happens to spell out pamper. If I arranged them any other way, I don't know what they'd spell out. First one is purpose. We spend a lot of time as human beings wondering about our purpose in life. And I think we waste a lot of time on that, wondering why God put us here, why our Creator put us here, just why we're here. I think that's a misdirection. I think if you would get up each day and establish your own purpose for that day, my purpose for every day is just to get as much out of that day as possible. Some days it's being a lawyer. Some days it's being a speaker. Some days it's being a husband. Some days it's just being me. But my purpose, and I state that purpose every day when I get up, is I'm going to get as much out of this day as possible. I'm going to enjoy this day as much as possible. I know that you know, but I'll share with your audience here. I'm a 2-time cancer survivor. And one time in the middle of chemotherapy, I got a staph infection. Nothing will make you appreciate the ethereal aspect of life, like having 2 terminal conditions at one time. All right. So purpose, find out what your purpose is. Now your purpose might be to be the best teacher you can be, or the best speaker you can be, or doctor, lawyer, what have you. Nobody, there just are not enough major events for us to all have some grand purpose and to spend our time wondering why we have this purpose. So purpose. If you practice your purpose every day, it's going to help you with your confidence, because you're going to get to assess at the end of that day how you've done. You're going to be able to make the adjustments, the small adjustments as you go along as to how you've done and how you're doing. So that's going to help your confidence. Attitude, opportunity outlook. Take a look at everything that happens in your life. You see, I don't think there are good events or bad events that happen in our lives. I think there are events that happen in our lives, and those events are determined, whether they're good or bad, are determined by how we respond to those events. So again, the short version is attitude is going to affect your confidence, because if you're looking at them from a negative point of view, again, having cancer. And people get cancer. I wasn't being punished for that. It's just part of the human condition. Some people get cancer. Some people have heart attacks. Some people get run over by trucks. It's just an event in your life. It's part of the big journey. I call it a thread in the tapestry of my life, which at the end is going to be beautiful. So attitude. PAM. Modeling and mentoring. MM serves 2 purposes here, modeling and mentoring. If you want to be successful, find somebody who has done what you want to do and model them. You don't need to go around and invent the wheel again. They've done it. They know how to do it. And so if you look at them and watch them and do what they do, go where they go, know what they know, read what they read, experience what they experience, you can enjoy the same success. Now, you don't have to copy them. You don't have to do it exactly the same way they do, but if you want to be Michael Jordan, you want to be a great basketball player, I'm going to get in that Michael Jordan, LeBron James battle here. I know I should shut up about this. You want to be a great basketball player, model one of those guys. What do? They practice this many hours every day. They did this. They worked on this. That's the key. Find out somebody who is a success in what you want to be, and then model them. And the other one is mentoring. Nothing will build your confidence like mentoring. When you mentor somebody, which I think is every successful person's obligation, when you mentor somebody, first of all, it's like picking the president of your fan club. This is somebody who is going to look at you as a smart person. Not only are they going to look at you as a smart person, they're going to tell their friends about how smart you are, because they're not going to say, gee, I'm following this dumb cough over here and he's telling me what to do. No, I'm following Kathy Sexton. Kathy Sexton's teaching me how to be productive. And she's brilliant. Let me tell you the things that she's shown me. Okay? So modeling and mentoring. E. P-A-N-P. All right, our next P is passion. A life without passion is a wasted existence. Now, everybody's probably has a passion. If you don't have a passion, look deep into your life. That passion is that thing that you like to do, and it just seems timeless. And it can be anything. It doesn't have to be your job. It doesn't have to be your profession. It can be fly fishing. It can be knitting. It can be bowling, golf. Writing is one of my passions. I have a couple of passions. I'm a man of many passions. Writing is an example. I love to write. I don't sleep all the time, all the way through the night. I get up at 2 o'clock in the morning and I'll get in front of the computer and write like mad, and just knock out a blog or knock out something like that. Find a passion. Find a passion and pursue that passion. Have a passion in your life. Yeah, P-A-M-P, passion. P, passion. All right. E for ethics. Ethics is just, I hate to say it's a given because it's not a given. All right. Ethics is essential. That's an E. There's an E, a double use for the letter E. Ethics is essential. Now, in the legal profession, we have a code of ethics. And if you're just living by the code of ethics, you're just barely getting by. Okay. Those are rules that it says you have to follow. But you don't need to be in a profession with a code of ethics to be ethical. You can be ethical to everybody in your life. Yeah, be ethical to your spouse, to your business partner, to your customers, to your clients, to your prospects. And if you are ethical, if you live a life of ethics, life is just easier. Life is just, you take a whole set of worries and you just put them aside. So you make some mistakes in your life. That's okay. Get over it. Treat everybody fairly. Treat everybody honestly. Treat everybody as though, as I tell lawyers, treat everybody as though there's some judge looking over your shoulder who's going to judge your actions there. And if you exceed the minimal ethical standards, let's say you're a real estate agent, if you're exceeding the minimal ethical standards, that's wonderful. Try not to shoot for the low bar. Try not to just say, well, I can do this because it's in the rule. No, do it because it's ethical. The last one is respect. Now, obviously you want to show respect for other people, which is really important. Everybody wants to be respected. You want to be respected. I want you to respect me. You aren't going to respect me if I don't respect myself. And that starts with basic things. It starts with hygiene. It starts with how you treat yourself. I'm clearly not opposed to alcoholic drinks. Okay, I love a bottle of wine or some scotch or what have you. All right, but ask yourself if you're drinking too much. I can remember one of the first NSA meetings I went to, national meetings I went to. During the day, I met an exhibitor. Nice guy, really liked him. I liked his product. I liked what he did. And that night I saw him at the reception, and he was just drunk. I can't come up with a better word than drunk. And it totally ruined my impression of him and his business. It wasn't so bad to me that he was drunk. People get drunk. It was bad to me that he disrespected himself so much that he would be drunk in that setting where he had paid probably $2,500 to be an exhibitor at this thing. And then the very people he's trying to sell to, he comes to the reception and slurs his words and hangs on people and acts in an asinine fashion. So you have to respect yourself in your work. Now, Mark Zuckerberg has made the hoodie the standard for style for IT people, and that's okay. I guess if you're an IT person, wear a hoodie. Wear a clean hoodie though. Right? Don't wear a hoodie that has some obscene saying on it just because your friends think that's cute. When Mark Zuckerberg went to Washington D.C. to testify in front of the Senate, he did not wear a hoodie. All right? He dressed for the occasion. So that's another thing. If you're a real estate agent, dress like a professional, or a lawyer, dress like a professional. Find out what the standard is for your profession, and then go just a little bit about that. Dress for the occasion. So that's another thing about respect. Show respect to yourself. Take good care of your health. That's showing respect for yourself. There's the old saying about, if I knew I was going to live this long, I would have taken better care of myself. We've all said that, but it's true. You just take care of yourself. Focus on respecting yourself. If you don't, other people aren't going to respect you. And then, of course, the flip side of that is to show the people respect that they deserve to and that they want, and sometimes even show them more respect than they deserve. It will help them lift themselves. If you practice those pamper principles every day, if you think about them and you practice those every day, you will see an increase in your confidence. It just happens because, first of all, you're accomplishing 6 things in a day, and when you get to the end of your day, you've got those accomplishments. I've done these things.
Well, that's just really wonderful. And just to kind of go back through those, so, the purpose, and when you talked about that, that and kind of the attitude were together for me. It's really about being positive and looking at, I love, I get to do this versus I have to do this. I know you wrote a blog on that one time about somebody, you were saying you got to, go someplace, and I just really love that. I use that often because I think it's something that we so easily forget about. We just take it for so much of our life for granted. And it's just so important to be, having that positive attitude and having a purpose in your life.
Well, I'll tell you, Kathy, one of the things, one of the turning points for me in that was in the law practice. I got to the point, I hate to generalize about all lawyers because I don't hang around with all the subsets. I hang around with trial lawyers all the time. Or people who show up in court. They're not necessarily trial lawyers, or people who show up in court. And they whine a lot. How are you doing? Oh, this, oh, that, I'm doing this. Oh, I've got to do this, I've got to do that. And one day, I don't know the exact moment, but I thought about, I've got to do this. And I thought, no, wait a minute. I went to law school for 3 years to do this, and I starved for another 3 years after I got out of law school to do this, so that I could have the opportunity to represent people in court. And representing somebody in court is a pretty high honor. They have turned over at least that issue in their life to you. And there are no small cases, only small lawyers. Okay. So it just hit me. That's an opportunity. I don't have to, I travel all over the state. Well, I've traveled all over the country practicing law, but on a regular basis. I have a case down in Lawrence County, for instance. That's down by Springfield. Another case up in Randolph County, up by Moberly. And when I get in that car, I never think I have to drive down here, 3-hour drive, 3.5-hour drive. I get to drive down there because this person has hired me to be their voice. And that's changed my entire attitude and outlook on the practice of law. I'm back into loving it.
Well, I definitely, I do. I agree with you so much, and I love that you kind of put that out there. And then you talked about the modeling and the mentoring, and I just kind of want to talk about mentoring for a minute. I really think that we all need to be mentors, as you said, but and we are sometimes we are when we don't even think we are, right? But to really just embrace that and know that you are shaping somebody else's life and their outcomes just by you sharing what you do and your expertise is huge.
Well, and what a gift you're giving somebody. And you don't have to be, this goes back to the confidence thing, Kathy. I don't think that many people fully internalize how good they are, even though people might tell them. And I'm not talking about those who suffer from the imposter syndrome. I'm just talking about, we go through our everyday lives, we get up and we're with ourselves all day. We know about the mistakes that we make and the things where we don't achieve what we want to achieve. And so a lot of us don't think that we have something to share. But we do at all levels. We have something to share because there's always somebody lower on the rung. And I don't mean lower by in a bad way, just lower on the rung, haven't come as far along as we have come, who can benefit from some advice that we have or some encouragement that we have. And that's the important thing to me about mentoring, is just helping somebody else understand that they can do this too.
Right. Well, a lot of times we have the gift and we don't even recognize it. We don't acknowledge it. So that's really important. And then you talked about passion, which we all have a passion. We just, as you said, sometimes we have to figure out what that is. And sometimes it changes. I know mine has over my lifetime. But when you brought up the ethics, as being an accounting professional, definitely, trust is, when you're working with somebody's money, is always, standard you have to upkeep. But it really is, and I think about our dear friend Sam Silverstein and his non-negotiables. And, one of the things that I, is that it is so important that I don't care who you are or what you're doing, in every single moment, I think we have to be authentic and we have to be truthful and we have to be have ethics around what we're doing. So I just think that's so important.
That just makes life so much easier.
Right.
I go to bed at night and I'm not worried about, there's so many things to be concerned about, whether or not you're going to be, one of the things that people who are not ethical worry about all the time is whether or not they're going to be found out.
Right.
And gee, with all the other stuff that we can layer on our lives, why add that? And that's within our control.
Definitely, it's within our control. And as you said, it makes life easier when you don't have to, there's no choice. You're going to do the right thing.
Yeah, it's just, I can't tell you, I'll tell you a little story. Years ago, I'm practicing law, probably been practicing about 4 years at that point. And this guy comes into me and he goes, listen, I've got a couple extra $1,000 and I know we're in front of Judge so-and-so, Judge Smith. And I know that Judge Smith is a little crooked. And I thought that, if you went down and offered him a couple of extra $1,000, he'd go, it was a criminal case, he'd kind of go our way. I said, well, two things. One is, I'm not going to do it. But two is, if he's that unethical, how do I know that on the day I show up with the money, he's not decided to flip and turn me in, which would be unethical in my opinion. But there's no ethics among crooks. It's just easier to and you get all sorts of opportunities. People in the legal profession have many opportunities to not be ethical. I've had friends who've lost their license, unfortunately, for dumb stuff.
Right. I think we've all done this dumb stuff, but I really think life is about doing the right thing. And then the last one you said was respect, and I love that. I just love, it's about us respecting ourselves, and when we respect ourselves, it's easy to respect everyone else around us. And if we don't respect ourselves, then we can't be the person we need, that we really truly are. And I think that's so important. So before we wind up here, will you tell people how they can get a hold of you, maybe find out your blog or any of that type of thing?
Well, my website, unfortunately, I don't have a little sign here, is WayneSchoenberg.com. Let me spell it. WayneSchoenberg.com. You can text Wayne to 72889, I believe it is, and my digital information come down. And Wayne at WayneSchoenberg.com. 314-708-1000 is my phone number. That's easy to remember. Call me, text me. That's as best I can tell you, or just drop by sometime, and if you bring the sandwiches, I'll have the beer.
Sounds good to me. Well, thank you, Wayne, so much for being here today, and hopefully we'll have you back on soon, and have a wonderful day.
Thanks for having me, Kathy. I really enjoyed it. It's been fun.
Great.